Welcome to Leveraging Corporate Training, Organizational Development, and Community Building Techniques to Facilitate Learning. My name is Rich Cruz. I'm an adjunct professor at Trinity Christian College, teaching marketing management, HR management, and management courses. I'm also an organizational development consultant, and my partners and I have a podcast over at Harmonious Workplaces. That's harmoniousworkplaces.com, where we have a practice in organizational development and change leadership, industrial organizational psychology, and change management. You'll also find our blog, and it's also our publishing platform. So we have our podcasts as well as other resources. So you'll find some assessments, white papers, and various other resources to help organizations determine what's going on in their organizations with their people, and giving them some of the tools to tackle some of those issues. Now, today's discussion is going to talk about some of the ways that we can integrate business training and organizational development in the pedagogy in the on the university level to enhance learning. Now, this presentation was given at the ACCA conference, which is the Associated Colleges of the Chicago area. And within this discussion, I just kind of discussed for the next 10 slides or so some of the techniques that we use over at Trinity. So Trinity Christian College is a 65-year-old university. It was started by a group of business people, and I actually really enjoy being part of that legacy of the university. And we use some of these techniques in as the capstone for our business degrees, and I, along with other professors, have used these techniques to develop curricula for marketing, HR, and as well as a business incubator course for Vermeer Studios, which is the business incubator of the college. We have an incubator course and an accelerator course. The incubator for businesses that are startups, and the accelerator for businesses that are already in existence to move on. So the idea here is that we're going to use a diverse group of strategies to increase student engagement and retention, and it should provide some context for our expectations for how the workplace is going to handle training and development and performance evaluations and the like. So I don't need probably to tell people how traditional business education is, but it's worth saying that I've had a business education from Capella University in my MBA, even though it was an online college at the time, so, and it still is. Um, so everything was a little more state of the art than it was even in years prior, but uh, back when I was in college, we had rote learning and memorization. We had some PowerPoints. We had exams. Reading from books, and these have shifted dramatically from being something that's more or less passive and, how do I put this, uh, self-regulated, and arguably staunch and stuffy, to now something that's a little more vibrant and engaging. So we needed to move from this passive learning to more active learning in business education to connect corporate training outcomes, the application of skills and knowledge to classroom settings. So engagement promotes active participation in class discussions. Research-backed methods from corporate training and organizational development, that's OD, can improve learning, retention, and engagement. And feedback from students provides guidance for continuous improvement. So I really rely on the feedback from my students to adapt my teaching style and my curriculum for the upcoming weeks and for my next classes that I'll be designing. That feedback loop is critically important. And then all of this experiential learning provides the KSAs the knowledge, skills, and abilities that employers seek. So the first part of this is goal setting theory. So goal setting theory, goals have been around for a long time. That's not new, but Locke and Latham had research that showed that specific challenging goals enhances performance. In an educational setting, goal clarity aligns student efforts and increases motivation. Now, these goals work especially well when they're SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. I like to make sure that my students are not only using the goals that are set within the class as their learning objectives and the goals that they have per unit, but I also want the students to be able to set their own goals. So we want to design the course objectives to provide these clear, motivating goals that always align to their learning outcomes, but beyond their learning outcomes, what they're going to be able to apply in their careers. And then we want to allow the students themselves and invite them to come in and set their own goals and help to shape the goals of the group. One of the things we also want to do is connect the need for resilience in real world work. And this is where grit comes into play. So grit, as defined by Angela Duckworth, a psychologist that did numerous different studies with different organizations. Professor Duckworth defines it as perseverance and passion for long-term goals. Grit supports sustained effort, which is key in both corporate and academic success. And we want to encourage perseverance through assignments and make those assignments build on each other. So there's a purpose and there's kind of that why. We always try to start with why are we doing this, right? So making sure that we have that baked into our curriculum is very important. One of the things that I incorporated into my class, especially in my marketing class, not so much in my HR class because that's a little more of a survey class. But in my marketing class, we had a long-term assignment. It was a marketing plan project, and that long-term project required some sustained effort rather than just some isolated tasks. And it was also a group project, so we had some team dynamics that the students were able to go through the whole forming, norming, storming, and norming, and performing stages of team development, which is great to see, and it was also a learning opportunity in itself. We always want to tie our assignments back to previous units and to those overall goals. And we want to make sure that they are also being able to be reflective on the assignments that they've done. And when they're reflective and they have the opportunity to do a written reflection or to share in class what their thought process was, that just enhances the learning and keeps them more engaged. One of the other elements that I found particularly interesting in my industrial organizational psychology courses and in my studies in organizational development and change leadership, where I'm certified through the Drucker School of Management at Claremont University, is the Kirkpatrick New World model of training evaluation. And so this emphasizes learning impact more than it does memorization. So in the Kirkpatrick model, we want to have reaction, a good reaction, and measure the initial feedback and because when students can say that they felt like they learned something and that they enjoyed the process, then the chances of them retaining the knowledge is greater. Um, After that, we want to assess their learning. So this is so assessing the knowledge and their skill acquisition through testing and evaluation through assessments is very important. And that level one and level two translates now into the real world, into behavior. And what we really want to do there is uh, continue on the job learning, monitor their performance, give them feedback, reinforce what they're doing, the good things that they're doing, correct those things that they're not doing properly, encourage them to persevere and keep on through coaching, and then reward the behaviors that we're looking for to further reinforce that. And we're always trying to tie this to results based on, again, organizational objectives. So using behavior and results assessments, what's the impact of taking how we were before training, assessing that as a baseline, and then where we were at after training, um, provides an opportunity to measure the effectiveness of that training and how well it's been applied to solving problems and therefore facilitating learning. Another part of this, and this really comes from my experience, and so I'm a rather new at being an adjunct professor, so some of this I know may be old hat for some people, but my career, about 27 years of it has had a significant part in training and development, right? So one of the organizational development techniques that I've found to help facilitate change and to help facilitate learning and a learning environment on the job is small group interactions. So small groups allow for diagnostic activities, so we can take a look at problems and get different perspectives, a diverse group of perspectives. Um, it will help us also to build effective teams. Yeah, building effective teams allows us to uh, not only solve problems, but also to work together to actually execute some of the strategies that we may come up with as we solve these problems. This supports a diversity of perspectives, as I said before, and it encourages us to be more collaborative, which is highly sought after in the workplace. Um, so using structured small group discussions to simulate organizational development interventions, such as team building and problem solving sessions in the classroom, I often use these for discussion posts. So I'll pose a discussion each class, break this group up into different types of groups. So sometimes it's random assignment, sometimes I allow them to form their own groups, sometimes it's I just split the class in half. Yeah, so it's a few different techniques uh, to create these groups. And I've noticed that this allows them to either practice those skills into team building, or if they're already a cohesive team, especially in my marketing class, how they can improve their group meetings each time. And I found that people have taken on different roles based on their strengths. Um, and people who were not participating before may all of a sudden now start participating because something's something's lit them up, and I've come to attribute some of that to these small group interactions where they feel more comfortable. They're not necessarily put on the spot in class to recite. So, along with those small group activities, we also really want to try to build community. I know this is higher learning institutions are always trying to build community and foster that. Um, a lot of the students come in from similar sports, similar theater programs, or other types of school activities, and I'm trying to build on that, and this is something I'm still trying to work on, frankly. But it's something that I think that the world of academia is doing very well, and should translate into the workplace better. Um, because when we're building community, there's a great book by Peter Block that's called Community, and these communities that we build within workplaces foster collaboration and integrates peer feedback, shared goals, group projects. Um, it can include regular feedback from both from peers and from the instructor. It should create a learning community or even communities of practice model where students support each other's growth, right? And it's that learning culture that organizational development, human resources, change management research has been shown to improve retention, improve skill building, and and improve performance among the workforce. But really, everything is going to come down to going back to goals. And I know, we started with goal setting. We're going to kind of end with that too. But we have our goal setting, but then we also have to look at the assessment at the end and see, have we set up proper expectations, clear expectations that set standards and align the students with the course objectives, just as they would be on the job set up with having clear expectations. Um, we want to help students to self assess and adjust their strategies to meet expectations. We want to make sure that they understand the KPIs, the key performance indicators by which they're being measured, so that oftentimes stems from the syllabus. But then we also want to make sure we bake that into the rubrics as well for each assignment. I found that that has been a powerful way for me to, through the learning management system, the LMS Brightspace, to show students how they are being measured, and these are the specific criteria that we're looking at. Um, and that allows me to, with the feedback that I deliver, either written feedback per assignment or in-person feedback to the group, I can communicate what successful completion looks like for each assignment prior to the assignment, and then what my expectations were to clarify that. It also, that feedback loop helps me to, again, do a better job to see, did I set the proper expectations for them? And do I need to go back and readjust how I deliver the material? So in the end, this brief presentation is really designed to help give an overview of how my thought process is with regard to incorporating or integrating corporate training and OD techniques to enhance learning and develop the in-demand skills that employers are looking for. Goal setting is going to drive motivation and performance, just as we do on the job. Using Kirkpatrick's model of training evaluation supports meaningful evaluation. Small group discussions promote skill development and critical thinking. Community building fosters belonging and engagement. I should have mentioned that earlier. Belonging is very important and one of those key aspects that has shown up in the research, particularly in the last few years. And then we want to make sure that we align our KPIs to objectives so that we set expectations, not just in the beginning, but that we also continue to set expectations even every week and every time we see people so we can help to keep them on track. I find that that's, having even weekly announcements within the LMS to reinforce some of the announcements said in the classroom helps us set those expectations and gives kind of a written trail to keep everybody accountable, including myself. And that's it. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and I'd love any feedback that you have.